ought to use this interview for the school project.
Thank you.
And we're honored to do it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this project for me. My first question is, when did you move into this neighborhood, Lakeside?
We moved here in November of 1984.
84. And the reason I asked this question for the class is because my grandparents were some of the first African Americans to move into the lush lakeside area of Morgan City, Louisiana. What was it like being the first African Americans to move here?
We were a little leery at 1st
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't know how we would be received. Uh, and the neighborhood was, uh, how would you say, kind of standoffish. Weren't very friendly. Everybody was kind of like to themselves. But as time went on, we noticed that. Well, I mean, we didn't introduce ourselves to people. So a few of them introduced themselves to us, and so we felt a little better about it. And then later on, well, our own son moved. I mean, your dad and mom moved across the street from us, so it got better.
Good. Paul, would you like to reflect?
Yes, there was one neighbor, an elderly lady that lived across the street from us, who almost from the beginning, she kind of took us under her wing and looked after us, and anytime we left home, she would watch the house for us, make sure everything was going okay. So she made it kind of interesting for us and pleasant.
She made the transition easier for us.
Right.
Yeah, I forgot her name was Rita Crayson. Yeah, and she, in fact, when Simone and Patrice, our first two grandchildren, were born, she would even bring them stuff like for Christmas, and give them little things like that. So, like Irvin said, she kind of like took us under her wings, because I think even she was apprehensive when she knew that a black family was moving across the street from her, because she even kind of related that to me at one time. But anyway. She passed away a few years ago, and we really miss her, because she was. I mean, she found out, like we found out, that people are people no matter what color they are.
I think some of the neighbors kind of felt like we would be the kind of people that wouldn't take care of our property. Our yards would be all full of grass and trash and so forth. But it turned out that our yard was one of the best looking yards in the neighborhood.
And we got yard of the month.
Yard of the month from one of the garden clubs.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, my mom and papa. So, how old were your children when you moved into this area, and did any of them live with you at the time?
Our youngest was in college. She was a sophomore in college, so she wasn't here. But she had her own bedroom. She'd come in, like to visit and stuff. But nobody really was living with us. It was just, the two of us. And our oldest child, Irvin Jr., Simone's dad, he was living. Later he moved across the street from us. But we were, lived alone really, because our children were at the time in their 20s, and I think Alicia may have been 18. Yeah.
Okay. My next question is, are there any other instances where you were the first, maybe not of this neighborhood, but any other instances where you were the first African American?
Well, on my job.
In your job?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I worked at Lakewood Hospital, and I was a supervisor over the switchboard operators, and I was the first black to do that.
Yes.
And I found that interesting.
Very. Thank you, Papa.
And we were the first African Americans to start our own appliance repair business, which we kept for about 35 years.
Yes, yes. They're now retired and loving it, and they go out, see the city. They've come to visit me in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
How many times? Once or twice?
Once.
One time. I hope that they come back.
Yeah.
And I would love to thank them for doing this interview for me. Is there anything, last words that you would like to say?
Yeah, that's something I would like to say. I am just so proud of my granddaughter. It just gives me so much pleasure just to be here to help her with this project, and to see her grow, and to live away from home and doing so well, and we expect big things from her. She's our oldest grandchild, and she is doing fine, and we are very, very proud of her, and we thank her because we know that she's proud of us too.
Thank you.
And Simone, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.